What if your bad habits were not signs of weakness but signs of how your brain was built to survive? Every, just once, moment rewires your mind to crave more. But what if you could turn the same system against itself? This story will show you how to outsmart your brain and build freedom through understanding. Every habit has a pattern, and that pattern always begins with a trigger. A trigger is the spark that starts everything, a moment, a feeling, or a place that tells your brain, it's time to do this. You may think your bad habits are random, but they are not. They are precise, predictable, and repeatable. Your brain is like a computer, constantly running programs in the background. Each time you repeat a behavior, it saves that pattern to make life easier, but not necessarily better. When you reach for your phone without thinking, when you grab snacks late at night, when you procrastinate even though you want to work, that is your brain running its automatic program. The first step to freedom is awareness. You must learn to watch your mind instead of being controlled by it. Ask yourself these questions. When do I usually do this? What do I feel right before it happens? Am I tired, bored, stressed, or lonely? You will notice something powerful. Most habits are emotional, not logical. You do not check your phone because you care about messages, you do it to escape boredom. You do not overeat because you are hungry, you do it to fill emotional emptiness. The habit is not about pleasure, it is about comfort. Once you identify the trigger, you begin to weaken the habit's control. Because awareness creates distance. You are no longer the actor, you become the observer. And when you can observe, you can choose. Keep a small notebook or use your phone as a habit tracker. Each time you fall into the habit, write down what happened before, during, and after. Write the time, the place, the emotion, and even what you told yourself. Within days, you will see a pattern. The same emotions and situations appear again and again. This is not about judgment. It is about understanding. The goal is not to punish yourself, but to catch your brain in the act. When you name the pattern, you remove its mystery. Think of it this way. You cannot fight an enemy you cannot see. But once you know its shape, its timing, and its weapon, you are no longer powerless. Breaking bad habits begins with observation. You do not need to change everything overnight. You only need to notice. Because the moment you can say, this is the trigger, you have already taken back control from your brain. Awareness is the first real act of freedom. The human brain is not designed to lose, it is designed to replace. That is why breaking a habit by pure force or willpower almost never works. When you try to stop doing something, your brain does not simply forget it. Instead, it feels an empty space, a craving, a missing reward. And the mind hates that emptiness. Habits exist for a reason. Every habit, even the bad ones, serves a purpose. They give you comfort, distraction, control, or pleasure, even if it is temporary. When you scroll social media, your brain releases dopamine, a chemical that makes you feel good for a few seconds. When you eat junk food or procrastinate, you escape stress, if only for a moment. So if you just try to stop, your brain will resist with everything it has. The secret is not to remove the habit, but to replace it. You must give your brain a new routine that offers the same emotional reward, but in a healthier way. Think of it like rewiring a circuit instead of cutting the wire. For example, imagine you always reach for your phone when you feel anxious. What your brain truly wants is not the phone, it wants relief. So you can train it to find relief through deep breathing, a short walk, or even writing down your thoughts for 2 minutes. Over time, your brain will start associating those actions with calm instead of the old habit. Or let's say you stay up late scrolling through videos. The reward there is not just entertainment, it is escape from responsibility or boredom. Instead of trying to force yourself to sleep, build a replacement ritual. Read a book, stretch, or listen to calming music. Your body and mind will still receive stimulation, but one that restores instead of drains you. Ask yourself, what is this habit giving me? Most people never stop to ask this question. But once you know what the habit provides, you can find a better source for it. If the habit gives you comfort, create comfort through rest or conversation. If it gives you escape, create it through creativity or exercise. If it gives you excitement, find it in challenges, not chaos. You cannot erase the habit loop, but you can rewrite it. Keep the trigger, change the response, and upgrade the reward. That is the formula. This process takes time, but it works because it aligns with how the brain naturally operates. You are not fighting biology, you are teaching it a new pattern. Remember, your brain is not your enemy. It just follows what you train it to repeat. When you replace destructive habits with constructive ones, you do not just change behavior, you change identity. You become the kind of person who seeks growth instead of escape. Breaking habits is not about saying no forever. It is about saying yes to something better. Your habits are not random actions. They are reflections of who you believe yourself to be. You act based on identity, not intention. That is why motivation fades so quickly but identity lasts. When you think, I'm trying to stop smoking, your brain still identifies you as a smoker who is struggling. But when you say, I don't smoke, your brain begins to build a new identity that naturally rejects the old behavior. This is the foundation of lasting change. The moment you shift your self-image, your behavior follows. It is not about forcing discipline but about becoming someone for whom discipline feels natural. Every choice, even the smallest one, becomes a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Think of identity as a muscle. It grows stronger every time you act in alignment with your new self. If you see yourself as a healthy person, you naturally eat better. If you see yourself as a learner, you read more. If you see yourself as someone in control, you begin to act that way even when no one is watching. The process of rewiring your reward system begins with understanding how dopamine works. Dopamine is not just released when you achieve pleasure, it is released when you anticipate it. That is why old habits feel magnetic. Your brain expects that burst of dopamine before you even start the behavior. But here is the truth. The old rewards are temporary. They give you a high followed by regret. They comfort you for a moment and then leave you emptier than before. To rewire your brain, you must teach it that the real reward lies in growth, not escape. This does not happen overnight. You need to connect pleasure with progress. For example, after resisting an old habit, take a deep breath and consciously feel the pride of control. Tell yourself, this is what freedom feels like. When you finish a workout instead of skipping it, enjoy the sense of power that comes from keeping a promise to yourself. When you choose calm instead of anger, let that peace be your reward. The key is to make the deeper reward emotionally stronger than the shallow one. Visualize both outcomes clearly. When temptation comes, imagine yourself giving in, the regret, the wasted time, the low energy, the self-doubt. Then picture yourself choosing the new path, the calm, the pride, the freedom. Your brain cannot tell the difference between imagined emotion and real emotion. The more vividly you visualize, the more powerful the rewiring becomes. This is not about perfection. You will fall sometimes. But each time you return to your new identity, you strengthen it. Each time you remind yourself who you are becoming, the old version of you loses power. You are not fighting the habit. You are training your brain to believe a new story. When that story becomes stronger than the old one, change stops feeling like effort, it becomes expression. Because in the end, habits are not just what you do. They are who you decide to be. And when your identity aligns with your values, the right choices no longer feel like sacrifices, they feel like freedom. Excuses are comfortable lies we tell ourselves to stay where we are. They disguise themselves as logic and kindness. You say, "I'm too tired," or "it's not the right time," or "I'll start tomorrow." But these words are not harmless. They are invisible walls between who you are and who you could be. Your brain uses excuses to protect you from discomfort. It calls them reasons, but they are shields against growth. Every excuse buys you temporary relief but sells your long-term peace. When you delay action, you don't just lose time, you lose trust in yourself. Each excuse whispers, "You can't," until one day you start to believe it. To break free, you must expose these lies to light. Write down your top 3 excuses, the ones that show up every time you try to change. Maybe it is, "I don't have time," or "I'm not ready," or "I always fail anyway." Then write your truth beside them. If your excuse is, "I don't have time," the truth might be, "I always find time for what truly matters." If your excuse is, "I'm not ready," the truth might be, "No one is ever ready. They begin, then become ready." If your excuse is, "I deserve a break," the truth might be, "Real rest comes after discipline, not before it." This exercise may feel simple, but it rewires your inner dialogue. It replaces emotion with awareness. You stop negotiating with weakness and start reasoning with strength. The goal is not to eliminate excuses completely, it is to recognize them before they control you. Once you silence the excuses, it is time to make the pain of inaction louder than the comfort of routine. The human brain changes through emotion, not information. Knowledge alone does not transform you. Pain does. Pain is a teacher, a signal that something must change. But most people run from it. To evolve, you must face it. Close your eyes and project your current habits into the future. Imagine 5 years of living exactly as you are now. Feel it. The tiredness, the regret, the disappointment of knowing you could have done more but didn't. See yourself older, wishing you had started today. Let that image sink in. That is the real cost of your excuses. Then imagine the opposite. 5 years of consistent growth. Picture waking up healthy, confident, and proud. Your energy is higher, your relationships are stronger, and your mind is clear. That version of you is not fantasy. It is the reward waiting on the other side of your excuses. When the pain of staying the same becomes heavier than the effort to change, transformation begins. That moment of emotional clarity, when you finally say, "I can't keep living like this," is the turning point of every success story. You do not need more motivation. You need a stronger why. Make the pain loud. Let it echo in your mind until it drowns out every excuse. Because the truth is, your life will change only when the cost of comfort becomes unbearable. Every day, you choose between 2 kinds of pain, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. One makes you stronger. The other destroys you slowly. Choose the one that builds you. Because pain is not the enemy, it is the invitation to evolve. Habits are built through invisible repetition. They thrive in routine, hiding inside the small moments you barely notice. You reach for your phone without thinking, open the fridge when you are bored, or scroll endlessly before sleep. Each action feels harmless, but together they form powerful loops that control your behavior. To break them, you must study them, not with judgment, but with curiosity. For the next 5 days, become an observer of your own life. Watch yourself, as if you were a scientist collecting data. Every time your bad habit appears, write down 4 things: the time, the place, the emotion you felt, and what triggered it. You may begin to see patterns you never noticed. Maybe you always snack when you are stressed, or you check your phone whenever you feel uncertain. Awareness is your first weapon. Once you recognize the pattern, you can predict it. And when you can predict it, you can interrupt it. That interruption is the first real step toward freedom. Now, look at your environment. Because habits are not just about discipline, they are about design. The spaces you live in shape your choices more than you realize. If your phone is next to your bed, you will scroll. If junk food is in your cupboard, you will eat it. But if a book is on your nightstand, you will read. If water is within reach, you will drink it. Change your environment to support the person you want to become. Move your phone to another room before bed. Delete one toxic app. Replace your usual snack with fruit on the table. Rearrange your workspace to remove distractions. These are not small acts, they are architectural shifts in your behavior. Because environment is stronger than motivation. Motivation fades, but environment whispers to you every day. It either pulls you forward or drags you back. Next, examine the people around you. You are a reflection of your circle. If your friends complain, procrastinate, or mock ambition, you will unconsciously adopt their patterns. But if you spend time with people who read, exercise, and create, your standards rise automatically. Energy is contagious. Choose wisely what you absorb. Surround yourself with reminders of growth. Follow creators who inspire discipline, not distraction. Visit places that align with your new identity, a library, a gym, a quiet cafe. Fill your physical and digital space with signals of who you are becoming. You cannot become a new person in the same environment that built your old habits. Growth requires new soil. Just as a plant cannot thrive in polluted ground, your new identity cannot grow in the same conditions that made you stuck. Change your surroundings, and your habits will follow. Track. Adjust. Repeat. Over time, your environment will start to do half the work for you. You will no longer need to fight temptation, it simply won't be there. Remember this. Success is not just about willpower. It is about strategy. And your strategy begins with awareness and environment. Design your world to support your highest self, and one day, your new habits will not feel forced, they will feel natural. Because the most powerful way to change your behavior is not to fight your environment, but to transform it into your ally. Breaking a habit is not only about stopping an action, it is about shedding an identity. Every habit you hold comes from a version of yourself that once served a purpose. Maybe that version needed comfort, distraction, or safety. But as you grow, that old version no longer fits. The behaviors that once protected you are now the ones holding you back. So before you can build a new life, you must say goodbye to the old one. Write a letter to your past self, the one who scrolled too long, gave up too soon, or promised tomorrow. Thank them for doing their best. Acknowledge that they were trying to survive, not sabotage. Then tell them it is time to let go. They cannot come with you where you are going. This is more than symbolism. It is emotional closure. You are sending a message to your subconscious. I am done repeating this story. Now, shift your focus from what you are leaving behind to what you are building. Imagine your future self, stronger, calmer, healthier, more fulfilled. Picture how they wake up, how they think, how they handle challenges. That person is already within you, waiting to be revealed through daily choices. But here is the truth most people avoid. Every time you repeat a bad habit, you are stealing from that future self. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you delay their arrival. Habits are not just actions, they are investments in who you are becoming. Ask yourself, what is the cost of staying the same? If you keep this habit for another year, what will your health look like? Your confidence? Your relationships? Will you still respect yourself? Let that discomfort sink in. The pain of regret is always heavier than the pain of discipline. Use it as fuel, not shame. Then remind yourself why you started. You are not trying to be perfect, you are trying to be free. Freedom is not about doing whatever you want, it is about no longer being controlled by what you don't want. Revisit your progress regularly. Celebrate every small victory. Each time you resist the old pattern, even once, you prove that change is possible. Those small moments compound into transformation. And when you slip, because everyone does, don't see it as failure. See it as feedback. Get curious. What triggered me? What emotion was I avoiding? Then adjust and return stronger. Growth is not about never falling. It is about learning how to rise faster. Remember this final truth. You do not rise to your goals, you fall to your habits. Goals give you direction, but habits decide your destination. If you build habits that align with your best self, success becomes inevitable. Letting go is not loss, it is renewal. You are not losing yourself, you are becoming yourself. And one day, when the old urges fade and the new discipline feels natural, you will look back and realize something powerful. The person you always wanted to be was never far away. They were waiting for you beneath every choice, every moment, every habit. When you master your habits, you do not just change your routine, you change your destiny.